The U.S. Missile Defense Agency just shot down an intercontinental ballistic missile. The Monday test of a Raytheon Standard Missile-3 Block IIA succeeded in striking what the U.S. Navy called a threat representative ICBM target. In other words, it wasn't really an ICBM. A real ICBM probably would be much harder to shoot down. But even this partially realistic test could have serious consequences. The world's nuclear powers for decades have deterred each other by maintaining the mutual ability to destroy cities and military sites with atomic weapons. Once one country can stop nuclear-tipped ICBMs, that mutual deterrence breaks down. The likely result is a fast-escalating arms race as newly vulnerable countries scramble to overcome each other's atomic defenses. This test makes it extremely hard to imagine limiting missile defenses in an arms control agreement, said Jeffrey Lewis, a nuclear expert at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey. The test took place across a vast swath of the Pacific Ocean. The MDA launched the target rocket from Kwajalein Atoll, part of the Marshall Islands in the South Pacific. 2 satellites tracked the launch. The destroyer USS John Finn, sailing midway between Hawaii and the U.S. East Coast, launched a single SM-3 Block IIA. The missile arced into the upper atmosphere. The booster fell away and the non-explosive kinetic-energy warhead zeroed in on the faux-ICBM. This was an incredible accomplishment, MDA Director Vice Adm. Jon Hill said. In 2017 and again in 2019, the MDA successfully tested its ground-based missile defense system against ICBM-like targets. In all 3 tests, the target traveled slower than a real ICBM. The targets also didn't include the kinds of defenses modern ICBMs feature, such as decoys. I haven't yet seen the details of this test, but it was described by the MDA as a developmental test, rather than an operational test, which indicates that the conditions were not meant to be realistic, said Laura Grego, a missile expert with the Union of Concerned Scientists in Massachusetts. I have seen no mention of decoys or other countermeasures, either simple or of the type that you'd expect an adversary to use, Grego added. Especially for homeland defense, the Pentagon always puts a premium on getting a success, rather than challenging the system. The stakes were very high in this test, so I expect that test conditions were curated to make success as assured as possible. But even an unrealistic test can have diplomatic ramifications. It will further fuel Russian and Chinese conviction that the U.S. missile defense system is being improved to an extent that could potentially have negative implications for their retaliatory capabilities in the future, said Hans Kristensen, a missile expert with the Federation of American Scientists in Washington, D.C.